But if you're watching this in the future, this is one of the, I've started kind of doing live streams after each major video to kind of like debrief and chat about the video. So that's kind of what this is. Nothing specific. If you have any questions, or sometimes I also give like kind of behind the scenes or sneak peeks of upcoming stuff. This is kind of where I share it. So yeah, and if you want to support this channel, you can always do so with the Patreon that I've got linked in the description. I'm gonna wait a few minutes and actually post about this, but yeah. Let's see. It'd be great if I actually scheduled these ahead of time. But let's see here. Live, get shareable link. Discord. Welcome. If you're joining, you're the first to join. I kind of got a bad habit now of not really posting about the live ahead of time and just kind of going live. So welcome to the live stream. That's not good. Welcome. Sorry if I didn't schedule this live out, but welcome to the live stream. I'm going to talk about the engine pull and kind of whatever you want to know about it or anything else related to the channel. Yeah. I'm trying to actually like post about this right now. Oh, hey, what's up? I got chat working again. It's giving me flashbacks to the first time I tried to go live, and it took me actually, I think, 45 minutes of technical difficulties to actually get everything working. Let's see. Let me post about this. Let's see. Give me a quick minute. I'm posting on YouTube, but I do have some sneak peeks that I can share. So I'm trying to remember what I did last live stream. I think I had just actually put the engine in, but I got more progress on it right behind me. Let me just quickly post about it, but I do have quite a bit to show you, yeah. Let's see here. Hello, Patrick's5465. How are you? Let's hang out. I appreciate that. Oh shoot. Okay, got a lot of people. Welcome to the live stream. I'm kind of here to just hang out with y'all because YouTube is kind of like, YouTube videos is kind of like a one-way street for me, where I post videos and then y'all watch it and then you'll leave comments and then then you all go about on your day. So I'm trying to do live streams like this more just kind of after each major video. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm also like, okay, I should probably make this more interesting now. But yeah, so I'm kind of here to just talk about the video, debrief. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to chat about it. But doing live streams like this is way more interesting to me than making videos because I can actually have, it's kind of like a two-way street. I actually have feedback. So yeah, welcome. I'm live right now. Let's go. Okay, so let's talk about the Miata. What's new since last time? Wait, can you remind me? I want to make sure I get everything in order. Can you remind me what was done on the car last time? I'm pretty sure it was like right after I'd put the engine back in the car. And I don't remember if I had done anything to the engine after that. Engine went out, seals or some stuff. Engine went back in. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, the big news is the supercharger is on it. Kind of. It's not completely done, but let me swap this around. So supercharger is actually mounted on the thing, and I got everything put in. I have the new radiator in. I have the oil, what is this called? The Rotrex oil thingamabob in there, and then I also have the catch can installed, as well as the Rotrex oil cooler, which is like underneath here, in front of the wheel. This is all that's new. Yeah, there's quite a bit. The only thing left here actually is to finish up putting some oil lines on the actual supercharger, and then of course the actual intake piping. So there'll be an intake here, and then piping going into the intercooler that is down there, and then coming back out of the intercooler and going in. But everything else is essentially done. So yeah, and I think I mentioned before, I kind of got ahead of the uploads. So the videos you're watching now, these are spoilers. You are watching spoilers. This is what you get for being on the live stream. That's what's happening right now. I'm sorry if it's spoiling too much for you, but I feel like this is kind of like a fun perk to give if you're here on the live stream. Hello. So yeah, the video ended with the engine on the stand, and there's a lot of work that I did right after that. And I've since then put the engine actually, yeah, that's kind of the goal here is like, if you're here, you're spending your like time live with me, I might as well give you something. So engine got a ton of work done to it and then put back in the car, and then put most of the supercharger kit on it. So yeah, the problem is as difficult as this work is, video editing or like editing the work takes multiples more time than the actual work. So if it takes me 1 week to do a ton of work, it'll take me like 2-3 weeks of just kind of whenever I have free time to actually edit the video. So what that means is if I keep working, I get way ahead of the uploads, and then you get to the situation like today where everything you see of me live is going to be a ton of spoilers for the future. But yeah, the headlights need a polish, I think. Yep, I'm well aware. I polished them 2 years ago, and it definitely didn't hold up. So I'm going to try something new and get around to that. But right now, this car is not running because it doesn't have any intake piping on it. So I'm trying to finish up that, get the car running, and then finally get the hood back on the car, because that thing has not been on the car in like, I don't know, 2 months now. And I want the car to kind of be back in one piece again. Once I get to that point, I'm going to get to the headlights because it is starting to bother me as well. They used to look pretty decent 2 years ago, and it was one of the first few videos I made. But yeah, started doing some more videos since the last I was done at Laguna Seca. Oh yeah. Wait, my friend was actually at Laguna Seca, I think a month ago, with his R32 GTR. My Suzuki Cappuccino from 94, don't need a polish. I don't know why headlights just look brand new. Probably because, I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's basically UV damage. So it could have anything to do with if the original like factory UV coating was really good, or if someone already did that and recoated it for you. On mine, or if it wasn't actually exposed to UV that much, like if it were indoor parked. This car has not had the easiest life. I am the 8th owner, and it seems to have been through a lot. It's now been through 2 identical accidents because the damage that happened to my car appears to have been something that happened to it like 15 years prior. So it's in a bit of rough shape. So I'm not really surprised that the headlights are having issues. Where are we at? Wet sand, clear coating. Yeah, so that's basically it. Wet sand and clear coating. Yeah, so that's exactly what I need to do is wet sand and clear coat the headlights. What happened last time is I used one of those like pre-made kits on Amazon. And it was like the Sylvania like restoration kit, and it gives you all the little like bits and bobs for that, as well as like the actual coating. But I don't know if it's user error or if it just didn't work out that well, but it didn't hold up. And given that I did that like the first month or 2 that I had the car, I'm willing to bet it was probably user error. So that's why I want to actually properly do it by myself this time, not like just buying a kit. So like actually wet sanding it myself and getting some proper clear coating and applying it myself. And hopefully that'll make it last way longer than this, which I mean, realistically, this started yellowing like a few months ago, so this barely even lasted like, I don't know, 18 months. What do I do for work? I'm a programmer. I'm a software developer. So basically do like front end engineering. So like building the front end of websites out. And I really like just kind of working with that and working with like designers. It's kind of the main thing I do. Nothing is better than new headlights, but can be pricey. Carbon Miata sells new outer lenses, though. Worth considering. I'll take a look. I didn't know that was an option. What do you mean by new headlights? Like buying them new OEM from Mazda? Because I feel like that would be quite expensive. And these are great. It's literally just the coating. So if I can get like new lenses, that'd be great. So I'll look at the Carbon Miata one. Got my NA around the same time you got your Miata, but I'm thinking about trying something new. Do you ever get the itch to try a different platform? All the time. I've been talking about it quite frequently actually recently. It's getting to the point where I'm considering where this is crazy, and if my parents are watching, I'm not going to do it. But I want to get a third car, kind of as like a rotation car, because I love this car so much, and I put so much work and effort into it. I'm not going to sell it for a long time, but I also have that itch. So I've kind of been thinking about the idea of, okay, what if I had my daily? I have the Miata, which is like the dedicated weekend track car. And then I just have a third car for funsies. Like a cheap car that I only keep like a few months or a year just to scratch the itch and then try something new. I'll see little things on Marketplace all the time. Today I saw like a K truck, and then I was looking at like a manual Mazda Speed, Mazda 3 hatch. There's all little, yeah, Honda Fit. Like you'll see funny stuff like that for like pretty dang cheap, like $4,000. So, there's stuff like that. I'm like, it'd be fun to try out. What about like I saw an MR2 for a few thousand in my area and it just sold. So, I'll see stuff like that and think about it. So that's kind of how I've been dealing with the itch or how I've been kind of planning around it is considering getting a third car. Mom, if you're watching, I'm not getting a third car. Don't worry. Yeah, but there's a lot of cars I want to try. I even considered like selling my daily and trying to get a Cayman, like a Cayman S, like a 981 with the stick, but that was kind of impractical. So I'm trying to just make the most out of the Miata because, every car review I've seen is basically like, yeah, we've driven all the cars. Honestly, the Miata is just kind of the best for what it is. So I know that I'm in a good spot and I know that the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side, but I also just want to learn, which is kind of like why I make all these videos too, or like all the work I do. I just want to learn. I want to like see what is out there, learn what they're like and how they differ and kind of what goes into each. Dale, my best pick for cappuccino is like 6K. That's what I'm saying. Like get a Mazda 3 hatch, like a manual or a Mazda Speed 3 hatch. Mazda 3, Mazda Speed, I don't know what they're called, but I saw one on Facebook. Get that, have fun with that for, 6 months. Then get like a K truck, see what that's like, then sell that. Then get like a Suzuki Cappuccino, then get an MR2, like just play around with like cheap fun cars. But we'll see. My best pick for a 3-car setup. Daily, perfect Miata, and a beater Miata track tool. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually not a bad idea at all. Because this car is kind of, it looks good from 5-10 feet away, apart from the headlights, but up close it's in pretty rough shape. And part of me always wants to make it as perfect as possible, and kind of make it like this really cool show car. Because I love like showing my friends or showing my coworkers this car, and their first reaction is like, "Oh, what even is that?" And then I explain that it's a Mazda from 2002, and they're shocked. I'm like, "Oh, it'd be cool if it were like that, but even more, just more polished looking." But at the same time, I want to like beat on it. I want to take it to a track. I want to mess around with rally car, with rallycross. So like, I'm not gonna do that if I spend, for example, if I spend all my time and effort and money into just like trying to repaint the car and then like make it nice. So it's kind of just where it's at now, and I'm trying to just make the most of it. Got one for free. Spent about 5K doing a fix, not runs. Don't remember if you mentioned before, but what drew you to the Miata in the first place? A couple of things, but to put it simply, let's see. Every car reviewer I've watched always goes back to the Miata. You watch Throttle House, you watch what are these guys? Savage Geese, especially. They're always, or who else is there? I'm like blanking on their names right now, but I'll always watch these guys, and they'll drive all these cars all year, and then at some point they'll like drive the new Miata, and then they're just like, man, this is more fun than anything else we've driven this year. So that kind of value kind of stuck out to me. The other part is the actual like community, you guys basically. Like if I'm gonna buy a car, it'd be fun if there was something more than just the car that comes with it. So the community that's around it, and then how easy it is to work on, because I also like I didn't know how to work on a car. So this was also gonna be a platform that I'd be investing my time into. And I didn't want to like get stuck and then discover that it's pretty complicated or a part is not available. And then finally, it's just cute. I'm not a big fan of cars just looking angry or kind of like putting people off. I think it makes the car is just really approachable, especially to non-car people, and I really enjoy that. So that's kind of the main reason, or that's kind of like the main reasons. But yeah, I don't remember if you mentioned it before. Again, if you're out there and want to see how you handle my car, you want a show car, make it a track car. Definitely gonna want to make it more of a track car. What's up, man? Longtime viewer and fellow Austinite. Definitely recommend the car shows at Top Notch and Burnett. Yep. My friend actually works there occasionally, and I want to go sometime. I'm actually not that far at all from it, but yeah, I want to go. I just keep forgetting to like check when the next event is, and a lot of times their events are kind of very specific. Like last time I saw it, it was like American Hot Rods. So I don't want to like crash the party with like a dainty little Miata. I want to go when there's a. I want to at least bring my car when it's like appropriate. But yeah, I definitely want to go there. It seems to be the most like recurring car show in my area. Put a lot of silly parts in my cappuccino, like a Suzuki, Audi. Interesting. I've been there, but turning a rough car into a show car is just as expensive as a perfect condition one. And you lose the itch to make it nice. Yeah, I don't really care to put in the effort to make it a show car. It would just be fun to own one, Or not really own a shown car, but own a show car quality car, is what I'm kind of trying to say. Let's see here. The Miata is a nice car. There you go. Alanis King has made so many great Miatas videos this year. Yeah, so like that's another example. Like I remember seeing her stuff with like cars and bids. But yeah, it just seems like every reviewer always just, after years of driving every car out there, they kind of always just circle back to Miata. And I also care a lot about value for money. Like I'm not interested in spending like even 30, 40K on a second car. So like it has to be pretty cheap and it has to give me a lot for that. So like the fun, the cuteness, the community, the modability, and just an easy platform to learn on. So yeah, it just seemed like the best value for money when you factor all that in. Too bad it's a two-seater. That's why it's my weekend car, and that's kind of what makes it great. It's as lightweight as possible. Like your big nose. Thank you. Me too. I ordered the Tecnas based off your videos and recommendation. Got back order. Hell yeah. Man, they should sponsor me. That'd be fun. Yeah, dude, you'll definitely love them. Like, I have it with the GT Springs, which are the softer ones, because this is not a dedicated track car by any means. I just want the car to like be really comfortable if I want to drive it on the street, and then also be capable enough on a track. And I've been really happy with them. Yeah, you're gonna love them, no question. They're good for light use and autocross. If you do track focus stuff, Zeta's usually answer. Yep, that's what I've heard too. So I'm curious how mine is gonna hold up, especially having more power and like having a car that has more power than stock and then putting on track. I kind of forget that I actually have the softer of the two springs, and I don't have the Zetas, so I'm very curious to see how that goes. That's a good point. But thanks, man. So I guess I'll just talk about the engine pull. Or like, what do y'all want to know about the engine pull, or do you want to like chat about something else? Did a ton of research, but not worth it for me because I just do light driving and occasionally hit the back roads. That's exactly why I ended up with those two. And And I'm obviously like with the supercharging, I'm getting to the point where I'll probably, start tracking it more. But at the end of the day, the goal of my car is still to be like a primarily street dual duty car. I want it to be as livable as possible. If I need to road trip that car, I want to be very comfortable doing so. So that's why I don't want any sort of dedicated track suspension right now. In fact, I did actually road trip it a little bit. I put like 500 miles on the car, like taking it to Dallas and back. And it's comfortable. And I would have not been that happy if I had a little bit more like track focus suspension. I've actually road tripped an ND that had pretty stiff coilovers, and that was like fun, but like noticeably rougher for my taste. But yeah. All right, do you want to talk about the engine pull? Like I should have put a poll up or something. What coils were they on? I don't know. I talked to the guy. I don't think it was like off the shelf coilovers. I think so. He had a shop do it, and it was something like they put some sort of spring on like a Bilstein or like a Coney shock, but I don't know what it was. I'm pretty sure he said Bilstein, but I don't remember. It wasn't just like, oh, he got the Technas or he got the Zeta ZRD. It wasn't anything like that. But all I remember is it was pretty stiff. It was fun, but I was driving around like California along the beach and it got pretty rough. You could look at a silver turbo sticker from Porsche. Put it on. It looks kind of good in the trunk. Oh, okay. So this is a huge spoiler, but I am planning to buy a car badge off of YouTube that says supercharged whenever the car is supercharged, and then put it on the back. Probably end the supercharging video with that of like, hey, like this is the kind of final polish. But I thought that'd be fun. Dude, I don't know what is going on in chat. But yeah, let's see. Engine pull. I guess I can just keep talking about the engine pull, and if y'all have questions, we can talk about that. Let's see. Let's talk about the engine pull. Yeah, that was the original goal, and I feel like I haven't talked about it at all. So let's see. How have any of y'all pulled an engine? Because I'm kind of curious what kind of audience I'm talking to. If y'all have experience with that or not. What's up, man? But at least for me, I had researched it and I've watched videos about it, but I've obviously like never pulled an engine before. So I've been thinking about doing this for about a year because I looked into, hey, like if I get the supercharger, it needs a stronger clutch. And I guess I didn't actually explain this in the video as much, why I pulled the engine. There's a couple of reasons, but the primary reason is that I needed to put a stronger clutch in the car to support the supercharger. It has a stock clutch in it. It had a stock clutch in it previously, which was kind of slipping. And from everything I've read, it's kind of a pain. Everything I've read and watched, like I watched like Greg Peters' video about this. It's kind of a pain in the butt to drop the transmission from underneath the car while it's on jack stands. And then what's worse about that is when you put it in, you have to align it very carefully. And that thing is like, I think 80 pounds and like pretty weirdly shaped. And I did not, like, I'm already kind of getting tired of like doing really difficult stuff in the car or just like being stuck trying to do something the incorrect way that I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. So from the research I saw, pulling the engine with the transmission attached is a lot more work, but is much easier. And you don't hate yourself because you can work on the engine while it's on the ground or like on a stand. And so that way I could pull it out and do the clutch. And from there, it all went downhill. Because with pulling the engine out, you run into basically every, like, while I'm in there, piece of maintenance ever. So I pulled it out, and then I also remembered that I have a lot of oil leaks. I've shown it in a couple of videos, and there's actually a video, I think a year or two ago, where I thought my engine literally had rod knock because there was a very, very distinct metallic like rattle or knock when it was running. And by the end of the video, I had actually diagnosed that it was low oil pressure because I had lost so much oil. And that had been making the VVT solenoid just rattle in like the top of the valve cover, which was terrifying, but it worked out. But that also like scared me that it had, I mean, it lost, I think, like 2 quarts of oil in like, I don't know, 500 miles, which is quite a lot. And it doesn't burn oil. There's never any smoke. So that, plus it just looks nasty. So I was like, okay, pulling the engine out, I'm going to do the clutch. I might as well do a flywheel. So I put a lightweight flywheel in it. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to fix the oil leaks. I'm going to replace everything, every single oil seal there is. And then, you know, the more I worked on that, I got to the RMS, the seal at the back of the engine, and I couldn't tell where the leak was coming from, which is a pretty common problem because it's right next to the oil pan seal. I couldn't tell if it was coming from the oil pan seal or the RMS, so I decided to drop the entire oil pan off, or like pull the entire oil pan off and reseal the oil pan. So things just started going downhill like that. So clutch and flywheel, oil seals, and then when I had the engine out, if I'm going to be putting a supercharger on the car, and if I'm going to be tracking the car, and I live in Central Texas, so our summers sometimes will hit like 108 degrees Fahrenheit at times, I decided it'd probably be a brilliant idea to put a coolant reroute on the back of the head, because it's much tougher. It's way tougher to do with the car engine in the car. So I did the coolant reroute. But then there's another funny problem with the coolant reroute where I had a couple people, actually the guys at 949 Racing, when I visited them last year and I told them what I was doing with my car, told me if I can to change the head gasket to the older style head gasket. And I have a video coming out about this, but basically Mazda, how does this go? I'm trying to remember. So Mazda did not have optimum cooling flow in the engine. And so what happened? So basically the back cylinder would overheat. And so in later years, the NB2 head gaskets, they blocked off some of the ports in the head gasket to force the water out the back, or to reroute it a little bit more through the back. But that was kind of like a Band-Aid solution. The real solution is actually put the water in through the front of the engine and take it out the back so it goes through evenly and without any restriction in the pressure. And so changing the head gasket and just blocking off the little ports fixed it, but it was still not optimum. So they told me, hey man, if you're going to do this and you do the cooling reroute, you should really consider changing to the older head gasket that is more open, so it'll just be better flow. And I had the motor out and I was already doing all this work, so I was like, what the hell? So I pulled the head off the block. That's going to be a whole video, but I had to pull the head off the block, change the head gasket, and of course, while you're in there, I changed out the head bolts for ARP head studs, because why not? So it has stronger head studs, it has a new head gasket, it has a coolant reroute, it has new oil seals. What else did I do? I feel like there's a couple of things I'm forgetting about. It has headers. I don't know. I don't know if the headers are going to be worth it or not, but I was kind of curious, and it already came with the bunghole for the O2 sensor on it. So I put new headers on the car, and also put new motor mounts. So I kind of did all that stuff while the engine was out. And at that point it was like, well, yeah, if there's so much I can do, it's probably a good idea. And then I also, what was the last thing? Oh, I put a new radiator in, because I'm going to be pulling the engine out anyway. And oh yeah, and finally with the supercharger kit, there's a lot of like plastic panels and ducting. I actually have one piece left that I haven't put on yet, like a bunch of panels like this that are pre-cut to kind of fit around the intercooler. So I put all of that in while the engine was out, as well as the intercooler. So I'm basically just knocked out all of that work, and so that's why I just ended up taking everything off, taking the engine out instead of dropping the trans just for the clutch, because there was just so much stuff I could have done. So I kind of just gave you a spoiler for the next like couple of months of videos. But basically I went down a rabbit hole with car work and I learned a lot. Like there was a point where I had the engine separated where I was looking at both the bottom and the top and the bottom of the pistons. And the only reason I didn't do a rebuild is I didn't want to like fix what's not broken. But yeah, I mean, it got to a point where like, if I really wanted, I could have started pulling pistons out. But yeah, motor mounts are a pain with the engine is still in the car. Believe me, I would know. I put new ones in a year ago. So that's basically what happened. Let me catch up on the chat because I don't know if anyone's asking anything. No, I'm trying to break my engine, but I can't, so I've never pulled my engine. The most complicated things I've done is replacing struts. The engine pull sounds scary. It's actually not. Well, it is scary, yes, but there's not really actually much to be scared about. If you've watched enough videos and generally understand what needs to be done, it's kind of like a 5-step process of like disconnect all the electrical connectors, disconnect all the air hoses, pull out the radiator, pull out the drive shaft. It's just like 5 or 6 things. And once you break it down to that, it's a lot of work, but it is pretty straightforward. Yeah. Was the EGR pipe on the header also a huge pain? No, not at all. It just bolted right in. Actually, the coolant reroute that I used the Cobalt coolant reroute, came with a modified EGR tube to fit around that, and it bolted up to, I put a Goodwin Racing header on it. It mounted up to the Goodwin Racing header just fine. Engine pulls aren't too hard unless you don't have the proper equipment. Yeah, that is kind of the caveat. As long as you have the right tools and you research it, you'll be fine. If you try and pull it out and you don't have something, you don't have an impact wrench, because I'm glad I bought one right before I did it, you're going to suffer. So just do the research, know what tools you need. It's not a lot, but any sort of special tools help out a lot or like if there are any special tools required, it makes your life much easier to just have them. IDK, my F68 doesn't have leaks, even though I'm putting it near 10,000 RPM. Jeez. How did you learn how to do all this if you could barely change oil a year ago? 2 years ago. And the answer is YouTube. YouTube and I guess like Reddit and forum posts. I just watched a shit ton of videos. Did my research. Yeah. At the end of the day, I was surprised. It was a little... it is still physically hard to do, but the concept of the pull was actually simpler than I expected. There just wasn't... I don't know, it just felt pretty straightforward once I wrapped my head around it. But yeah, I just kept watching videos and researching. And I watched, like, just watching videos of other people do it helps a lot. And because I watched several different people, if there is something that one person missed to put in the video, I caught it in the other video. And there's 1 or 2 actually like tutorial videos for the Miata on YouTube as well. So watched all that. And then also like all the little stuff, like you even saw in the video, I didn't research everything perfectly, like every nut and bolt. Like, how do I disconnect the power steering pump and the AC compressor? I don't know. So when I got to moments like that, I was just kind of looking at it. And I was like, at the end, it's got to just be a few bolts. I just need to figure out where the bolts are. And so I just started kind of using a little bit more common sense and just I didn't have to memorize everything or look it up. So I could just there's a couple things like that you can look at and just kind of start to figure out and try out. So yeah, if I did have to learn every single bolt that had to come out, it'd be a lot more work for sure. Been a mechanic for over 25 years. All of this sounds like a nightmare. I love that. I mean, it's not a nightmare, but it wasn't like, it wasn't that bad. It's a passion project. I like it, and I think a lot of it is that I've been so eager to learn about all these little things that even though it was exhausting, it was still fulfilling because every time I like pulled out something new or I got to a new problem, I was also learning about how the car actually is engineered and works. And that made it pretty interesting. So that passion and that kind of interest to learn kept me going. You know, if I have to do 5 engine pulls on the same car, by the 5th one, I will hate it for sure. It will be a nightmare. But the first one, there's just so much that was new. That just had me so excited. The BP Z3 head gasket was a Band-Aid fix. Yep. If you pull a motor out, take plenty of pictures of nuts and bolts, label them Ziploc baggies. That's exactly what I did. I actually I took a lot of, actually laid them out in front of the bumper and had all these great shots, but I didn't include them in the video. It kind of just felt like it didn't really fit in the video properly. But yeah, like that, I guess that's also the other thing is watch as many videos as you can, research it, and label the hell out of everything. It makes it so much easier to put back together. Like I didn't even have to think about anything. You can even see it in the video where I labeled the connectors of the hoses. And a lot of the stuff I still didn't even know what it was. Like half the connectors, I don't know what they do. So I literally was just labeling where they went. Like, okay, it's the second one to the bottom of the throttle body. So I didn't know what it was, but when I was putting it back together, I was just like, okay, yeah, that's where it goes. Not all cars insanely easy to fix. You're gonna hate how I organized mine. I said bunghole chat. I did. The great cornhole. Motor mounts are a pain. It's worse. I learned it's not worth it. True. Swapping a car engine. I hope not. Keeping my engine. It's supercharged. If anything goes bad with it, I'll try and rebuild it. Diff mounts are way easier and make a big difference. Only issue is the NVH. What car do you have? I'm pulling my 1.6. I think it's leaking and burning a lot of oil. Oh, what car do I have? 2002 Mazda Miata, which is now supercharged. But I mentioned before, that is a spoiler. Yeah, I'm like, the work that I've done in the car is months ahead of where the videos that are public are at. But yeah. Pulling my 1.6, any advice? Never done it before, but I think it's just worn, leaking, and burning a lot of oil. Have you compression and leak down tested it? That'll kind of give you an idea of specifically what's wrong. Might be a head gasket. It shoots oil out of the exhaust. What? Well, okay, hold up. It might not be a head gasket. It could be something as simple. No. Hold up. That doesn't necessarily mean head gasket. It could be if you truly have a lot of oil getting into the combustion chamber. Could be valve stem seals or worn piston rings as well. And if you do a compression leak down test, you can kind of isolate all these variables and start to actually get to exactly, you can pinpoint exactly what's up. Wait, so probably both. It has 280,000 miles. Damn, that's a lot. Probably both, honestly. But like, can you start the car? I cannot. And it's because there's no intake piping on it at all, and there's no oil in the Rotrex at all. So this car is non-running right now, but it will be running in maybe a few days, maybe a week. So hopefully by next live stream, I can do it then. But yeah, I have no clue how it's gonna start, how it's gonna actually sound with a supercharger. But yeah, I mean, okay, wait. So back up. So if you're looking at pulling your engine, like, have you verified, is a valve seal easy to fix? Kind of, yeah. Okay, if you're looking at valve seals, go on YouTube right now and look up Valve Stem Seals Car Passion channel. Greg has a beautiful video kind of just showing exactly what goes into replacing it. It's pretty straightforward, but it's a little bit tedious. But it's much easier than pulling an engine, which is why I'm heavily suggesting, like, you can easily test for all this right now to make sure you don't do more work than you have to. Compression and leak down testing is pretty dang straightforward. But yeah, pulling the engine is last resort. That's a lot of work and overhead. But valve seals are relatively simple to do from what I've seen. I haven't done it myself. But Greg Peters has a phenomenal video on that, and that's what I learned, what they even are and how to replace them. I think Knapp Motorsports, Stefan Knapp, also has a video about it. And I think he showed Flying Miata also has a tool that helps out. But yeah, first step before you pull the engine, do a compression test, then a leak down test, then figure out where it's at. If you need help with that, drop a comment like on one of my videos or DM me on Instagram, and I can also like just give you pointers. But yeah, do the test first. You can buy a compression tester and a leak down tester for like $20 each on Amazon. To do a leak down test, you have to have an air compressor. So you do need to find a source of compressed air for that. If your friend has one that you can just plug into it or whatever. But do those first. They're dramatically easier to do. than pulling the engine. Don't pull the engine until you do those. Um, but hopefully, it's nothing crazy. It could very well just be something like a valve stem seal. And to do that, you just remove the valve cover. You don't pull the engine. You just remove the valve cover and you work in there. So you'll thank yourself for doing it the right way. Do you think it's easier to work on a Miata because it's a popular car and your car research basically everything? I'm scared to work on my car for bigger things because I can't find anything good. User not found K. What car do you have now? And so what are you comparing it to? It definitely is a really easy car to work on. That's not saying all car work is easy, but it is pretty doable to learn, as I am now an example of that. I literally didn't know how an oil change even worked 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. And I kind of just dove headfirst into working on this car. And everything I know about gas cars, I know from this, because my daily is an electric car. So I literally didn't know anything about even how an oil change works. But yeah. But okay, so wait, tell me what car you're comparing to. I didn't fully understand that. I'm scared to work on my car for bigger things. What is the car you're talking about? But I'm also biased because I have a Miata and it's the only car I've ever... I mean, I've worked on my sister's Subaru, but it's the only car I've really ever worked on. And so it's very possible I don't know everything in the world, but what I looked for when I was looking for a car specifically to learn how to work on is that the engine bay isn't too tight, so it's actually physically easier to work on it. There's a lot of them in existence. So the Miata is all the generations combined, I think they've sold 1 million or something like that. But of this generation, there's a few 100,000 sold. So there's a lot of parts out there. There's a lot of aftermarket companies producing parts. The OEM itself is continuing to produce a lot of parts because there's enough demand to warrant it. And there's so many people that work on these that there's a lot of widespread knowledge online. My best way of putting it is it's I'm in the middle of a very large crowd. I'm not just on my own. So to get started on a car, that was the most important thing for me. Also that everything is really cheap. That way, I'm not working on an expensive car, and if I'm still learning and I make a mistake, the most expensive mistake on this car is not that expensive, relatively. So those are kind of the main things I was looking for. And the Miata seems to be kind of the main one just recommended. But yeah. The Peugeot 106, it should be an easy car because it's old, but it's hard to find something specific about it. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know anything about that car, but that was my thing is if I'm learning, I need people to kind of hold my hand at least to start. That way I can finally start to actually get running on my own and then kind of figure stuff out on my own. I have my sister's Honda. It popped Willy with front wheel drive. Almost done with compound turbo build on my 24V Cummins. Interesting. Hell yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of it was very easy to fix, but it was just never breaking. You say that that's a bad thing. It was easy to fix, but it was just never breaking. That's a good thing. Unless I'm misunderstanding this right now. But let's see, what else about the engine pull? So I kind of went over the reasons I pulled it, which I realized I didn't really go over well in the video. All the work that I did on the car is going to be a ton of new videos in the works. It just takes so long to edit the video that it's going to be a little slow. Maybe I'll have a video every week or two. It took me about a month working quite a lot on the car to finish up everything. And then I put it back in the car exactly a month, actually. Literally exactly a month after I first pulled it out. So I pulled it out October 25th. and it went straight back in the car on November 25th. So I thought that was kind of funny. How is reinstallation? It was pretty easy. Yeah, it was definitely much. Oh shit! There was one thing I hung up on. It was pretty easy. I'll get to the hang up in a second. It was pretty easy because I knew what I was doing. When I pulled the engine, it was obviously my first time, so there's a lot of learning that needs to happen. Putting it in, there's no learning at all. So I'm just managing the logistics of how to physically tilt it and put it in the engine. And when I pulled out the engine, my friend came over. You can actually see that in the video. My friend came over just for like the pulling of the engine because I felt like I needed someone to help me, like let me know if something is basically have someone kind of keep eyes on the bottom of the engine while it's being pulled out from the top. That way it's like, oh, hey, wait, stop. There's one connector left, or there's a hose still connected, or it's getting caught on something. But putting it back in, I kind of just took a shot by myself and I got it in within a couple of hours. The big hang up, which I'll make a big point of mentioning in the video, is my engine crane. I used the 1-ton Pittsburgh Harbor Freight one, was 3 inches too short. Like the arm was too short. And this is with, and I didn't mention it again in the video, but if you pay attention, you'll notice like, you don't have to pull the bumper out, but I did, because I needed that clearance. And even then, I also had to pull out like the plastic like bumper guard or whatever it is behind it just to get another few inches. And even then, the engine crane was rubbing up against that front support of the actual like metal frame of the car. And even then I had 3 inches like too short. So what I mean by too short is like wherever the arm ends and the chain droops, the engine still needs to be 3 inches farther. And so while pulling it out, it wasn't a big deal because as soon as you lift it, it'll move forward 3 inches. But putting it back in, you have 2 studs from the motor mounts that you're trying to line up with holes in the car. And there was no physical way for me to hold the engine 3 inches farther and drop it in. And so I struggled with that. It took me, I think, 3.5 hours to just place it in the car and bolt the motor mounts. Not connect anything, not connect the drive shaft, not even connect the PPF, just bolt the motor mounts in, just line up and bolt it in. If I had got the 2-ton crane, I would have been fine. That has a way longer arm. But yeah, that was a pain in the butt. Yeah, so otherwise, like, it was pretty easy. Got in the car, and then, I don't remember how long it took, but it was really straightforward to just, get everything else connected, because I knew how it all went, and I had already removed it before, and everything was labeled. So it was bumpy, but it was way more straightforward than pulling it out. All right, let me catch up back on the chat. How's reinstallation? There you go. Is the Miata back there boosted? Yep. There's a supercharger on it. This is all spoilers. Yeah, it's not done, but it's like 95% done. Maybe like 60. Are you gonna repaint the car? No, it's just not worth the time, money, or effort. I want to like be on it pretty hard. And I want to like take it to a track and stuff. So I want to also rally cross it, which it'll get more beat up. So no, but I kind of wish I could. Will you paint your engine block or other engine parts? No, I definitely would have liked to. I just, the scope grew too much. The scope creep got too big. And so I got to a point where I was like, okay, the engine's been out for like 2 or 3 weeks and I just want it all back together. Otherwise this project might stagnate. So I did skip out on doing a couple of niceties like that. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Jesus is the truth, hell is real. Oh, this is fun. I've never got to do this before. I can put people on timeout. I love that. Put user in timeout. 24 hours. Always wanted to do that. That's kind of fun. Hopefully I don't have to do that again. Make a rap video. What do you mean? Oh, if you're not sure what happened, am I going on timeout? No, unless you say something crazy. There was just some person like saying random shit. But yeah, So yeah, that was kind of how the whole engine process went. I don't know what else you might want me to elaborate on. Yeah. Any No, while I'm here in this project. No. No, wait. No, while I'm here in this project. Wait, I don't think I understand that. Um so what is next then? What is next? So I do have all these videos to actually make, but for the car itself, I want to actually make videos about the experience about the car, experience of the car. I want to take it to a track day. I want to take it to rallycross. And kind of the most fun thing that I've been pretty excited about is a lot of my friends are into drifting and like go to sanctioned drift events. I want to join. I want to go for one of them. Just try everything once. And so I'm gonna make videos about actually taking this car now that it has a decent amount of power, and just see what it's like and kind of share that experience of going to all these different like motocross events or motorsport events. And then I also want to make a couple more like talking videos, sharing a lot of my experience. I feel like most of my videos so far have been just like kind of like project documentation, but I also want to start like sharing things I've learned, share information I've learned, share tips that I've learned. Kind of like a couple of stuff I just mentioned about like the engine pull, like stuff that went wrong. One video that I have planned is like the tools that I kind of wish I had or that came in really handy and saved me. Stuff like, depending on the car, make sure you have a long enough engine crane. Make sure you have an impact and not make sure you don't just have an impact, but you have a big impact, because you don't want to get stuck on a bolt while you're on the car, under the car. There's one specific plier that I got from Harbor Freight, this little one. This helped a lot to get a lot of like plastic connectors off, like the little like, I don't know how to describe it, but a lot of the connectors off, especially when you're like under the car and there's not enough clearance to reach. Like share stuff like that. I want to like do stuff like that basically. So that's kind of going to be the main stuff I'm working on this year. At the same time, I'm always kind of just keeping my eye out for any potential like future projects I can do, whether it's on this car or maybe a future car. After I do all of that like experience stuff and like information stuff, I also want to, let's see. There's kind of like two major things left that I want to do in the car. An interior restoration. I want to put new carpets in the car, possibly new seats. I want to put a nice audio system because the current one is broken. And maybe do something about the door cards that are like kind of made of cardboard and kind of suck. It'd be cool to like put some sort of like reupholster them or put a different kind of door card in. But basically an interior restoration and then chassis bracing. See if I can make like any before and after videos about it, but under chassis bracing, fender braces, and then I do have a roll bar on the way. So yeah, those are my main stuff left on this car that I want to do. Let's see. Where am I at? Awesome, my buddy has a Miata. He slapped a small Saab turbo on it and a Mega Squirt. And that thing rips around the autocross. Hell yeah. What do you think about the wooden steering wheel in a Miata? I'm not a big fan, but I do get it. It does look pretty classy if done right. It's just not for me. Is it a big power increase? This is a funny question. In the Miata world, yes. Anywhere else, no. This car is advertised to make 140 horsepower stock. From what I've read, more realistic readings is closer to 120. When the supercharger is done, it'll be about 100 more, hopefully around 220. So 100 more, almost double, but 100 more is not a big deal, or even 220, final horsepower is not a big deal for most other cars. But this is so lightweight that it actually is a riot. Are there any other maintenance items you took care of within the engine bay while the engine and transmission was removed? I think I covered most of them, but I cleaned the whole engine bay. Let me think about this. I cleaned the whole engine bay. I put in a new radiator. I did a coolant reroute. I replaced every single oil seal that I could on the car. I replaced the oil pan seals and resealed that as well. I even replaced the transmission seals and cleaned that out. What else did I mention? I upgraded the head gasket. I put ARP head studs, so it's a little stronger under boost. And then I kind of cleaned some of the outside of the engine. Put a new thermostat in it. Oh, I put a new O2 sensor, because when I had it out, the narrowband O2 sensor, when I had it out, I realized how much of a pain it would be to get to, and it's a wear item, so I replaced it while I was at it, and then I upgraded the motor mounts. Those are the big stuff I did. If you plan to drift it, just note your diff might not be happy. I'm sure. It is an LSD. Doing will make the diff scream at him. What do you mean it'll make the diff scream? Most people like to weld an open diff and call it a day, but if you got the dough to drop, two-way clutch, good to know. Yeah, so I don't want to do too many things that push the car too much, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I have an LSD, so I know that it'll probably drift, although not as optimally as a welded diff, but I just want to try it. I want to know what it's like. I've never done a donut, and I've never gone sideways in a car. So it'd be fun to do like at an actual safe event, and also kind of see, you know, what this car will do. I admire your determination, dedication, sharing your learning experience. Hope you never end your Miata videos. I want a Miata too. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to just keep these going as long as I can. The hardest part right now is my channel isn't big enough for this stuff my channel is not big enough to like be worth my time yet, but I do it as a passion project. So that's why I've been pushing so heavily to join my Patreon if you want to support the channel, because that helps me actually like fund the channel better. And then I'm actually, I got another sneak peek. I'm doing a little merch drop soon, very soon. I had my girlfriend hand draw me a couple of designs that are related to the car and of the car. I'm just waiting on getting a couple samples back, but it'll just be like 2 t-shirts and like 2 cute stickers. But I'm trying to do stuff like that to like try and make this a more viable hobby, so I can afford to put so much time into it. But I really want to just keep doing this as long as I can. Suzuki Cappuccino Factory Diff is happy to be drifted. Sorry, my bad. There are a lot of people that while I'm there and proceed to obsess on details. The car back on the road is a priority. Sorry for my English. No worries at all. Where are you from? I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, okay, so, I understood your question. So, yeah, so I did fall down that rabbit hole of while I'm in there, and I took care of a lot of maintenance, but I tried to balance it out with, like you said, the priority of actually getting the car back on the road, because even if the car gets back on the road in 3 months from now, it's gonna I'm gonna slowly lose motivation. I want to have like a closing point to the whole project. I don't want the engine to be in pieces for 3 months while I'm getting nitty gritty about all the little maintenance. I just want to do what was reasonable and practical and a good idea to do, and then also try and just get the whole thing back together as fast as I could. So it took a month and I got a lot of maintenance done, so I'm really happy with it. But that's why there's little things that I skipped. Like I didn't put a new oil pump on it, which I kind of wish I did. And I didn't fully pressure wash and degrease the engine completely, or paint it, which I really would have liked to paint it, but like it's too much scope creep. At that point, I was just like, I need the engine back in the car. Taurus and LSDs act as an open if a wheel is lifted. I've heard that too. Are you going to tune it on E85 or no? Maybe if how about this? I have no plans to put the car in E85 right now. If I ever get to a point where for some reason I'm pushing to get as much power out of the car, then of course. But my goal with this car is to make it the most comfortable, like daily drivable car. And adding E85 would add complexity, and I think I would have to add an aftermarket ECU, which brings in even more complexity. And then if it's E85 only, road tripping it with it would be more difficult. and even filling up gas. Like the nearest E85 station from me is like 15 minutes away, but my nearest gas station is like 30 seconds away. So it'd be nice if it's just like as much power as I can reasonably get out of like premium, like 93 fuel. But yeah, my goal is not to get as much power as I can, but to make it an actual, like, as much practical of a car as I can for something that I'm literally just building in my garage with no experience, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at. But who knows? Like, I didn't expect to be here taking the literal head off the engine. I didn't expect to have the engine in 4 pieces on my floor a couple of months ago, but here I am. So who knows? If I get to the point where I'm pushing for crazy power, it would be inevitable. You're pretty cool, dude. I'll subscribe. I love that. I'm going to screenshot that and send that to my mom because it's actually kind of funny. But I appreciate it. I got a 99 NB the same time you put an NB buyer's guide. Hell yeah. That was actually over a year ago now. How's that been? Italy, and it's 2:30 a.m. right now. My man, what are you doing? But it's really cool, though. It's really cool you're from there. I'm from Poland. Hell yeah. That is pretty neat. Why are you watching me at 2:30 a.m.? I mean, I'm flattered. I'm not going to complain, but it is kind of funny. But what else went on with engine pull? I'm trying to remember now. Those are the main stuff. Oh, also, what is next? Oh man, dude, 2:30 isn't too bad for my sleep schedule. I've been there. You know, there was a part of college where I was sleeping at 4:30 a.m. Dang, that's crazy. Doing the exact same thing while copying games on. Hell yeah. But let's see. What other... So there's a couple of things I am going to try with the channel this year. It won't be for a while because I'm still editing and putting out the videos of all the engine work I did. But I do want to slowly start seeing what other content I can make that's a little bit more than just the car. So like right now, my main interest outside the car that's relevant for the channel is like my garage, like building it out. And I talked about this last live stream, like building out my garage to be really functional and everything has a specific place. Kind of building a workbench that has a very specific utility to it. I mean, I know it looks like a mess now, but I promise it has really good utility. Because I've been building up this garage for like a year and a half now. So I want to kind of start making videos about the workspace, like how building out a garage that I'm able to build this car in. And this is also a really small garage. It's only like 200 square feet. It's pretty narrow specifically. So, you know, I want to slowly start like pushing the boundary a little bit, not just Miata, but you know, like me and my garage, the workspace, the car that I work on. I want to try and make more interesting videos like that. So that's also going to be there in addition to making videos about the experience of working on the car and owning it and taking it to my first track days. And yeah, okay, that was pretty much it. Was a supercharger install hard? Could it be done without pulling the engine? No, it was, or sorry, the install was actually surprisingly easy. There's no part of the supercharger install itself that requires the engine being pulled out. In fact, pulling the engine out won't actually make anything easier. Most of the install is kind of just on the top and kind of on the front of the engine. The only catch with that is that when you make a lot more power, the stock clutch cannot support that amount of power. It'll start to slip. And so if you get a supercharger, if you're on the stock clutch, you have to upgrade the clutch, which either, if you're doing this by yourself, either means dropping the transmission or pulling the engine out with the transmission. Either way, the clutch needs to be upgraded and the supercharger needs to be installed. You can also just pay a shop to change the clutch. But the supercharger install itself was surprisingly easy. I kind of went into it thinking that it would even be scarier than the engine pull itself. I kind of felt like, oh, well, I'm pulling the engine. That's a pretty established thing that people do. Supercharging it, that seems crazy. And it turned out to be the opposite. And Dan from Track Dog kept telling me that too. He was like, "Oh yeah, like once you pull the engine, dude, like you're 90% of the way there. Like the supercharger is nothing compared to pulling the engine." Um, but yeah, and I'll elaborate more on that in the video itself as well when I get to that video. But yeah, the install was really easy. It probably took, I don't know, 18 hours of labor combined, and it was 18 hours of just like normal labor. Like with the engine pull, it was like intense. With this, it was literally just like reading the booklet and then walking over the car, and then okay, I'll put the 5 bolts here, come back and be like, okay, so where does this part go? Okay, cool. So it's like pretty easy, dude. But I will make a little bit more thorough review of my specific Track Dog supercharger in when I get to that. So yeah. Where am I at? Coolant reroute seems impossible while the engine is in the bay. Seems like a much easier task with the engine out. Yes. It was ridiculously easy to do it with the engine out because it really is just 2 bolts. Because you'd remove the 2 bolts on the back of the head, and then you stack the new stuff, you assemble and you stack the reroute, and then bolt it in with 2 bolts. And that was it. Yeah, there's very, very little room in the back. I'm sure it's possible because they sell it for that. It's just, that was the one requirement for me of if I'm pulling the engine out, I have to take care of that. I don't want to deal with that later. But I installed it incorrectly a little, and I might need to work on it with the engine in the car. There's a crush washer that you install along with the temperature sensor when you reinstall it, and I don't think I crushed it. I didn't really tighten it that much at all, and I kind of forgot about that. And now that crush washer or like that area is leaking on the reroute because I literally didn't crush the crush washer. So it's pretty hard to like work on there. So I am trying to figure out how to get that worked, like how to do that. But yeah, so I'm going to be working on the reroute while it's in the engine bay now. But yeah, that absolutely you're true. You're right. Yeah. I'm from Granbury, Texas. Check out the autocross track here if you ever come. Anybody can drive on it. Hell yeah. Where is that in relation to Austin? Or like how many miles away? Don't know if you asked, but what was the hardest part of getting the engine out? That's a good question. Was there any hard parts? Wait. Nothing, actually. Yeah. I didn't ever think about this before. I might be wrong, but as far as I remember, everything about pulling the engine out was about equivalent in difficulty. There was no like one thing that like was really difficult or that you had to like get over that hump. It was pretty easy. I think so, right? Yeah, because yeah. Okay, yeah. There wasn't anything actually there wasn't any one thing that I got stuck on or was too difficult on. Um, Everything just kind of unbolts. And I say this because I say this with the assumption that if you ever do something like this, you use an impact wrench. If you don't, it's gonna be a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, it was literally just like, okay, yeah, I'll tell you what. Getting stuck water lines or vacuum lines that have never been removed off was the most annoying part. And you can see a little clip of that somewhere in the like middle of the beginning of the video. But I was kind of using like metal pliers and trying to like they're just so stuck on with so much friction, and then even the water ones have a little bit of corrosion. So like the heater core line, I was getting to the point where I considered just chopping it off, but I yanked really hard and it finally did come out. But it was like, that was a nightmare. Working on stuff like that and working on a couple of like little connectors, the electrical connectors, like with the front bumper in the beginning. Yeah, that was actually the hardest part, literally, is just removing electrical connectors and undoing the air lines, the vacuum lines, and the water lines. Everything else was just straightforward. Just undo the bolts. Yeah. Do I have AC? Oh, hell yeah, I do. I live in Texas, so it wouldn't really be a usable car without it. What do you do for work outside of YouTube? I'm a software developer. So I like working on websites, building front ends. Yeah, I basically essentially I build websites. I'm a software developer. It's kind of my little passion project that started before I became full-time in it. If you've ever seen my website, I don't ever talk about it because it's not actually relevant. It's my first name, Ubby, so it's like ubby.work. I built the whole website myself, and that was just because it was like fun to me. So yeah, so if you're kind of curious like what my actual like stuff looks like, there you go. But yeah, I do software development. Because sleep is overrated. Dude, I feel so bad that I'm like getting to this like 10 minutes later. Because sleep is overrated and I can see the passion in your videos. When someone you can only learn from speaks, you listen. Just love this rabbit hole, same as you, I suppose. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Wow. That means a lot. Yeah. I'm glad that that comes across in the videos. That's kind of been my goal with my videos is like, I don't want the videos to just be like a normal video. Like I want to share something or convey something or like not just document the work that is being done, but like how I felt doing it. Just share, convey the experience, and just show what it's like to like grow and like learn. So I'm glad that that passion comes across because I put an incredible amount of effort into these videos at this point. But yeah, aside from the clutch, what other upgrades do you recommend to complement your supercharger? Easy. Stiffer motor. Okay, well I say this, I say this as someone who hasn't run their supercharged car yet, but this is from all the research I did, and even just talking with Dan, the owner of Track Dog Racing, who I bought the kit from, and even guys like 949 Racing who gave me some technical advice when I visited them. It's stiffer motor mounts because to keep the engine from flopping around because it'll make more power. You have to upgrade the clutch to support the power. A lighter flywheel can make it fun, but it's not required. And then cooling system. Upgrade your radiator and upgrade your radiator and probably do a coolant reroute. So recommendations are radiator, coolant reroute, or like aluminum radiator, coolant reroute, stiffer motor mounts. What's required is a clutch. What is kind of nice to have, apparently, which I'm going to figure out how nice to have it is a lighter flywheel. That makes it a little bit more fun because it revs a little faster. But that's it. So, you know, cooling system and clutch and stiffer motor mounts and you're set. And if you call them to get some help about it, like they'll pretty much tell you the same. Like there's not much else to it. Actually, I think Track Dog Racing has a little graphic somewhere on their site. I think it was in their FAQ that I saw it, where it was like, what is recommended, what is required, what is recommended, what's a nice to have. I think they wrote that out, but not much. Cooling, motor mounts, and a clutch. Granbury is about 2.5 hours from Austin. It's a little southwest of Fort Worth. Interesting. Yeah, I am in Austin. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, because driving this car, as livable as I'm trying to make it, is still not easy to do like on a longer trip. It makes a lot of noise because I haven't put any insulation in it yet, and it is scary to drive on the highways because all the trucks here are so massive and tall. It's pretty, there is a safety concern for me like driving this on Texas highways, so I try not to take it on long trips if I can avoid it. Why supercharger and not turbocharger? To put it simply, and I haven't driven a turbo car yet, I really want to. Simplicity, and a more linear and like natural power band. So I say simplicity because come on, like I know I'm making YouTube videos, but I'm not like a crazy YouTuber who has unlimited money or sponsors or time. Like this is not my full-time job. This is like a passion project outside of work. And so it has to be more realistic. So I did not want to go to standalone ECU. I didn't want to have to deal with that. I wanted to stay with the stock ECU. I wanted things to be as bolt-on as possible. I wanted power delivery to be as like straightforward as possible. I didn't really want like you put full throttle, then you get full boost. I thought it'd be kind of fun if it just is like a naturally aspirated motor, but more, which is exactly how I saw it described as. And the other one is it makes less torque than turbos. And torque is what can cause reliability, or a lot of torque is what can cause reliability issues for stock parts. So I'm using stock everything, stock internals, stock transmission, stock diff, stock drive shaft, everything. So it would be a little bit safer on the internals of the engine, and like the transmission that I have. So, or simplicity and reliability, and then the more natural power band. Those are basically the three. I just wanted something that I can keep the stock ECU because it used the way that this works, and you can get an aftermarket ECU. They actually like offer it with the Mega Squirt if you want. The way that this works is it came with what's called fuel and timing cards, which plug into the actual ECU and kind of like intercept some of the signals and override them. And so it's with the stock ECU, but it gets tricked at the correct time to introduce a little bit more fuel to compensate for the boost that it is seeing. Fuel, and then also like adjust the timing as necessary. So there's no real tuning to be done. It's still emissions legal, or like with my inspection, they have to check for check engine lights. They can actually read the ECU because it's so stock. And then physically on the reliability side, just a little bit less torque, but a little bit more power up top. So that the stock rod, I don't have to worry about the stock internals. The stock rods will be healthier. The transmission will be healthier. Less chance of anything going wrong. Because I don't want to pull an engine again, right? So that's kind of my long answer. Yeah. Linear power, something linear power, nothing like being eye level with tires on the car next to you. Literally, yeah. Driving on the highways here in the Miata, I will literally be eye level with cars, with the wheels of cars, right? And that's terrifying. Like, as funny as that is, that's actually terrifying. I don't want to do that. So I drive it on weekends when there's less people on the road, or in the evenings when there's less people on the road, and I avoid long highway drives if I can. Thanks for input. Got me leaning towards a supercharger. Hell yeah. If you do buy the Roadtrack supercharger from TrackDog, let them know that I sent you. And if you're getting, what is it? I think if you get the clutch from them, I have a discount code. It's OBBY10, and it'll get you 10% off. Yeah, so if that helps, there you go. But yeah, if you ever need any help with it, just like leave me a comment on one of these videos, and I'd be happy to help. But also I will say that Dan, the owner, is really helpful if you ever call him, even if you haven't bought it, and just ask for advice of like, hey, I'm thinking about this, but I need a little bit more information about X, Y, and Z. I found that he was really helpful. In fact, when I was working on the engine and I had the engine out, I FaceTimed him for help, and we were just FaceTiming engines. Like, he was just showing me his engine on the ground, and I was showing mine, and he was like, hey, okay, so you see this part here? It goes here. What you want to do is here. This is the way it was originally designed, and so on. That was pretty sweet. I really appreciated that he helped me out with like that. But yeah, he's really knowledgeable. So I would trust his input for any like technical related help. So you don't like, I wouldn't buy it immediately without like doing a bit of research and making sure, you've taken care of everything you need to know. So he's like really phenomenal at like kind of walking you through that and teaching you about all that to make sure that like the purchase is right for you, and you know what you're getting yourself into, and then you're kind of just you're just prepared for the work you need to do and what you need to take care of. Yeah. Did your engine ever burn oil? It's been so long since I watched. Nope. No, not that I've noticed. I've never seen smoke come out of the engine, except for the one time that I did the compression test, and then I dumped a bunch of oil physically in the cylinder and then ran that. Yeah, it just leaked a lot of oil to the point that I lost, I think it was like 2 quarts in 500 miles. That gave to a point where I got low oil pressure. But yeah, never had issues with that. But when I did have the engine out, this is also one of those things that like, Scope creep started getting so crazy with the engine out that there were corners that I cut that was not required. One of them is it would have been nice to do the valve stem seals with the engine out. It's very doable with the engine in the car. It's just physically you have to reach over like the whole engine bay to get to the engine and do it. It would be nicer to do it with it on a stand on my workbench. But it seemed like two of my stem seals are leaking slightly on the exhaust side. When I kind of like looked at the valve through the exhaust port, they were wet in a way that the rest of them weren't. But that's something that I can always do with the engine in the car if it truly gets bad. And like I said, the scope creep got so bad that I didn't want to put another week or two of work, like figuring out how to do the valve stem seals correctly and making sure I get them done and waiting for parts. That was the main thing. I was just trying to get the engine back in the car. So I cut the corners on that because I'm not burning oil or have any concerns with that at the moment. But, you know, that could always come in the future. It's not a perfectly refreshed engine. It's a practically refreshed engine. Yeah. Same on the 106. Sometimes I'm blinded from other cars, normal lights, but being so low to the ground, let me feel connected to the road. It's amazing, even in a shitbox. That's what I'm saying. But that's also why I drive it with that in mind. I'm very careful with how I drive it. I'm very careful about not really driving it in traffic or on the highways, stuff like that. Just trying to be a little more safe and realistic with it and then make the most out of it, or like make the most out of it in a safe way, which is also why I'm getting more interested in tracking it. Because I like the idea of just going all out and having fun in a controlled environment where everyone knows that's what you're doing. There's also no lifted trucks on the same road as you. So I'm starting to get bored. I'm not get bored. I'm starting to not enjoy street driving it as much just because it's getting a little scary. I only put 7,000 miles on it and then the car got hit. And that too, like I wasn't even on a highway. It was a low speed accident, so I got lucky. But yeah, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I think I would literally just have more fun on a track, even if it takes more effort to get myself there. I do have to go in a few minutes, so I'm going to end this soon, but I'll take any last questions or thoughts. Yo, Abby, amazing. Done so well. No idea how many times I've yelled at my TV to help you. I appreciate it. Best of luck, Miata brother. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. That's funny. I'm sure I've probably driven you mad if you know anything about cars because I'm always making stupid mistakes. Even now when I watch older videos, I'm like, God damn it, why am I doing all this backwards or wrong? But yeah. Do you think your Model Y can tow it to the track? That's the problem. It absolutely can, but it would only have a range of like 100 miles. So it physically can do it, no problem. It just is not as practical. So I'm trying to figure out if I would ever get a tow rig or anything, but realistically for now, I'll just drive the car to the track. And then take the risk of it breaking down. Make it happen, bro. Have fun. But yeah, appreciate you all being here. If you want to support this channel, because it takes a lot of time and effort and money, you can join my Patreon. I have it linked below. You can join for $2 a month, and you get all of this behind the scenes that I just explained to you. I have been posting written updates with a bunch of photos about that for like the past few months. So if you want to see that while it's happening and help support the channel, that would be amazing. I also am going to be dropping a small merch drop soon. A couple of shirts, a couple of stickers, hand designed by my girlfriend of the car. It's not just like a little logo. It's actually like a couple of illustrations that she made for me. So I'm excited to share that soon. But stuff like that goes a long way in kind of just helping the channel move forward and kind of stay afloat. So I really appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever I remember how to turn this off. All right, see y'all.